Good morning, online learners, fifth grade science. This is Mrs. Brellier's class with us. This is our second attempt at the video. The first one stopped at 1 minute and 56 seconds, and I guess I've made too many videos, so we had to throw some away, although they remain in Google Classroom and on YouTube. Yesterday we made an error, and we only recognized the online learners from Mr. Giovanni's class, Addison H., Owen, and Abby. Today, we're going to recognize both classes and include the 5 people online for Mrs. Brellier's class. And we've asked our wonderful student, Danielle Miller, to come up and recognize our online learners. Come on up, Danielle.
Yay! Hello, Addison H., Owen, Abby, Jada, Mabel, Callie, Jimmy, and Cora. Bye.
Very good job, Danielle. Thank you for cheering her on. Again, she had a mask on, and it may have sounded a little bit muffled, but she was recognizing Addison H., Owen, and Abby, Jada, Mabel, Callie, Jamie, and Cora. We know you're working hard at home. We appreciate your efforts, and we look forward to seeing you soon. When the students came in, they were talking about a lesson they learned in Miss Rainier's class, and they were kind of upset about some of American history and some of the things that happened in American history. But we have to learn from the past, or we're going to have to relive it. So Mr. Rainier tends to teach us about things in the past that aren't always happy things. Tomorrow is the anniversary of September 11th. 19 years ago, terrorists attacked America. And we talked in the first attempt at this video that if you drive past Idlewild, about 15 or 20 more minutes down Route 30, you can go to the Flight 93 Memorial, where the passengers fought back against the terrorists. They now have a museum and a park that you could walk all around and honor the 40 heroes. And we even mentioned there was 41 heroes, because why were there 41 heroes? Yes?
One of the people on the plane was pregnant.
One of the ladies on the plane was pregnant, so if you go to the memorial and you see the marble wall, you'll see all the names, and then if you look down a little bit lower on one of the marble slabs, it'll say unborn child. So we recognize that hero also. Think of our country tomorrow and all the people in the military that are protecting us. Tomorrow, September 11th, is a good day to honor all the people from 9/11 and the people that continue to protect us. All right, as far as science goes, we were talking about Louis Pasteur and how he discovered ways to keep germs out of food so that when we eat the food, we don't get sick. And we learned this from pages 820 and 821 in our science books. I always have a little section that you guys don't get that we could discuss, so I wanted to share that with you today. Pasteur and microorganisms. Louis Pasteur showed that, like other living things, microorganisms grow, reproduce, and use energy. Diseases Pasteur explained include rabies, anthrax, and chlorea. He also developed some of the first vaccines. So we're trying to develop a vaccine for the coronavirus. That's what Louis Pasteur was doing. Part of what he was doing was developing vaccines, not for coronavirus, but for other things that were going on at his time, because he lived about 150 years ago when he was born. Pasteur correctly hypothesized that living things use only one version of complex molecules, not their mirror images. This applies to sugars, DNA, proteins, and other molecules of life. Many bacteria are described as opportunistic, meaning they multiply when their environment offers them the opportunity. Bacteria are found almost everywhere. Many grow best under warm, damp conditions. So opportunistic, that's what we're doing with our mask right now. We're trying to make it less opportunistic. We're trying to say, we know there's a virus out there, but we're going to stop it from getting to where we can breathe it or maybe taste it. If we wear shields and we practice social distancing, we're giving that virus less opportunity to spread. That's why we're doing this. And then we develop a vaccine, and we're really taking away its opportunity to spread. Many farmers and scientists argue that pasteurization is not necessary when cows are healthy and milk is stored properly. So depending on what state you live in, some states will sell raw milk. I don't think I recommend it, guys, because it hasn't been pasteurized and there might be some germs still in the milk. Today's operating theaters are very clean. All instruments are sterilized. All surgical staff wash their hands thoroughly with antibacterial soap. If you ever see a doctor preparing for surgery, maybe on television, you'll notice they wash their hands with very specialized soap.
They don't even touch the gloves either.
Yeah, they don't even touch the gloves. Somebody else holds the gloves while they put their hands in to limit the amount of germs that they may put on their gloves or have on their hands. So when Louis Pasteur was around 150 years ago, the Civil War was raging, and if somebody had an injury, often they died because of an infection, not because they had a fatal wound, but it became fatal because they would go to the emergency room and they were not sterilizing the instruments. So we've learned over the years to sterilize instruments. When my sister was in the military, she worked on an airplane that had a hospital inside it, and when they brought soldiers back from other countries, the hospital was right in the plane, and they had over 98% survival rate. Can anybody tell me why so many soldiers survived coming home from the war on terror if they got to that plane? Why do you think?
Because they sterilized everything?
Yes, everything in that airplane was sterilized. Everything they could do to stop from germs spreading. So get them to the plane, and over 98% of them got home okay. It's a big difference from 150 years ago when Louis Pasteur was around and sterilization was not practiced. You could get cut on the battlefield and end up with an infection and die from that. So we've learned a lot over the years through these trying times. All right, so on page 821, there's a picture of how he proved his theory by sealing liquids, probably used milk, and he would seal both containers, but after a few days he would break the lid off of one of the containers. And that container had germs come into it, and it turned a different color because it was full of bacteria. That's why we put milk into refrigerators, we keep it cold, and we put a lid on it. We don't want things getting into that milk. What happens if you leave milk out and you don't leave the lid on it and you do that for a day? What happens? Christian? It spoils. It becomes what?
Magma.
Doesn't become magma. That comes from volcanoes. What does it become? Sour. Thank you, Luke. It becomes sour. And they'll put a date on there. If you drink that milk after a certain date, it's going to be sour.
A day tastes like
A date. That what, like today, September 10th. If you bought milk today, it might say best if used by September 30th, maybe. You have about 2 weeks to use that milk. After that, it's going to get sour. How many people have ever had some cereal in the morning, you put the milk in it, and you're like, wait, that tastes different. You don't eat cereal? If you did, you could, guys, look up here. If you did, you could just kind of smell that milk and be like, okay. And then I did that this summer, and I looked at the date. I'm like, I had it in the refrigerator. I had the lid on the milk. It got sour anyway because of the date. So pay attention to that date. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? You'll probably get sick for the day. You're going to have an upset stomach. But you don't want to start your day that way. Shelby,
did you do the water?
what were we supposed to do with the water? Oh, we are actually we're talking about bacteria, and we have our fish tank, and it's getting kind of cloudy, and the reason is I need to change the filters, and I need to do a partial water change because there's too much bacteria in there.
Show the camera the cloudy water.
That's okay. The camera, imagine it in your mind. There's cloudy water in the fish tank. It's not terrible. But about every 30 days you should do a partial water change. Fish like bacteria, not like people. They like bacteria. They just can't have too much of it. If they have too much of it, they're not going to be around much longer. So, fortunately we have Friday off, and that'll probably be partially what I do with some of my morning is tending to the aquarium. Anyway, at home, make sure you do your 3 journal entries for the week. No quiz this week. If you're doing your journal entries and you go in the next day and you notice the previous day is not there, don't be shocked. We're having a problem. Something with either the internet or with Google Docs. You can simply type in for the previous day, I did this journal entry, and it was gone the next day. But you have to be honest about it. You have to have done it, and then just let me know. And then make sure you turn it in by midnight tonight, because when I walk in here tomorrow at 7 a.m., I'm going to start checking 5th grade first to see, are your 3 journal entries done? And then I can give you your 3 points for the week. All right, everybody have a nice weekend. Everyone say goodbye to our online learners.
Goodbye, online learners.
And be sure to honor our country and all our veterans tomorrow on September 11th.
Goodbye.